Happy Monday, y'all. We're back, and Myra and Jonda has invited me to be on her podcast, and we're talking about her book, Why You Must Take Your Hands Off God's Money, and we're going to delve into some of the chapters, if that's okay with you. And so, chapter 1, I've been a financial disaster, and I'm wondering, people probably think I don't believe that, Jonda. So I will say, we've talked about, I've read the book, and Jonda has been very real and raw, and maybe she'll dive into some of those stories and the disaster part, which I know that God can take a mess and make a message. So
Absolutely. There is no testimony without a test, right?
That's true. That's right.
And let me just take a moment to point out the logo for this project. It is Test Me. The Tithe Challenge, we'll talk a little bit about that. But Test Me, and our verse for this project is Malachi 3:10. And it's the only where in the Bible God says test me.
Mm-hmm.
And he is testing us on his, not really a command as much as he's asked us to obey in a certain area of our finances. And if we do that, there's a blessing on the other side. So let's talk about the financial disaster, and we'll get to the rest of that a little bit later. Honestly, there's a part of me as a financial advisor that is a little embarrassed. Just put it out there. But it's true what they say, the plumber's house is never plumbed. You've heard that. And so I did walk through some really difficult financial times. But it was all consequences of decisions that I made. And there are consequences to every decision we make, positive or negative.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a consequence.
What you sow is a good or bad thing.
Yeah. Right. Regardless, there's always a consequence. There's an action and a reaction, so to speak. And I wasn't making good decisions early in my life, and I just wasn't. And I've shared several of those bad decisions in the book. We won't get into them in the video because we don't have a lot of time. But I felt like it was important for you guys to know that if you are having a similar struggle, you can turn it around. Whether it's divorce, whether it's bankruptcy, whether you've been fired from a job, you can turn it around.
That's awesome, because if you had just arrived in, this is like the, and did not have the, I always call those the hallelujah moments, but then what about the moments where that you're in the muck and the mire, and if you didn't have that you would really not be relatable. So that's the part that I loved about the book, is that I feel like you were showing people how to just get out of that. You don't have to stay in it. So that's what I loved a lot about the book.
Thank you.
So, because the book has a lot of stories, and just don't let, numbers and financial things turn you away to be like, that's not really my interest. The interest is your journey. It's really like your testimony.
It really is.
So that I loved it. And so I think people will glean and will be able to take something away from it. Everyone. So
thank you. I really appreciate that. There's 3 chapters in that first part, and the first chapter is talking about just the financial disasters that I went through. And then chapter 2 is called My Breakthrough. And I really there is a moment in time that I share with them in the book. I remember it like it was yesterday, where it just switched for me. And it's made all the difference in my life. And so I share that. Again, it's part of my testimony. I share that in chapter 2. And it's all financially related. I will say this, for years I struggled, because doing what I do, in all your training, they tell you, don't ever talk about religion and don't ever talk about politics. That's not what you do. If you do that, your deal's dead, right? And I didn't know any better, so I did what they told me to do. But as you get more mature and you get further along in your career and you read all these about these successful people, what you hear them often say is, to be successful and happy, the secret ingredient, or the the special recipe, is that they blend their passion, their career, with their faith. And I thought, well, count me out on that, because I can't do that, right? And I have to tell you, and you're gonna have to get the book to read this in chapter 2, but I will tell you this. There was a moment one morning as I was running my bath water. God gave me this mini vision. I call it like a movie trailer, if you will. It's just a short little vision. I saw a woman, I know who she is, standing on a stage. By the way, I've never met that woman personally. I know who she is. I've never met her. She was standing on a stage that I've never stood on. I know where that stage is, but I've never been on it. And she was introducing me. And I was like, wow, That would be flipping cool, right? That would really be cool. And then I just dismissed it. And I got my bath. I went on about my day. And the next morning, almost the same scenario, running the bath water, God downloaded into my spirit that I was going to take all of my experiences financially, put them with my knowledge about financial services and products, and I was going to be able to blend those with my faith and help people pull themselves out of financial bondage.
That's awesome, because this can be for everyone.
Absolutely. Please, if you get anything out of these videos, do not let this title, Why You Must Take Your Hands Off God's Money, don't let that scare you away, because this is like my testimony. This is my way to minister. It doesn't really sound like a financial book, but again, this is what I was led to do. So if you aren't a believer, it's okay. The principles that are in this book, you can absolutely use to further yourself along financially. And if you are a believer and you've heard about tithing, or you want to know more about tithing, or you don't do really well at tithing and you want to know how to be more consistent, then this book will help you as well. So
I know, because the principle, give and it'll be given unto you. We talked about the law of reciprocity, or it just happens. He can't help himself. God is the giver of all good things.
He absolutely is.
So when we give, it'll be given. And I know people are like, oh, you shouldn't give to get, but he can't help himself because he lavishes himself on us.
Yes.
So
he's sitting up there just waiting to bless us.
Absolutely.
But there are some things that he asks of us. And the tithing principle is one of them. Again, we get into this in the book a little bit, but I get a little pushback about tithing because Christians will say to me, oh, that's an Old Testament law, and we're saved under the blood of the Lamb, the New Testament. We're not under Old Testament law. I won't get into that now, but I do share in my book my position on that, and you're going to want to read it.
Hey guys, don't forget to pre-order your copy of Why You Must Take Your Hands Off God's Money. By placing an order today, you are going to receive the bonus chapter immediately as a digital download straight into your email. This chapter is a valuable resource, and you're going to want to get your hands on it sooner than later so that you can get busy laying the groundwork for a successful 2025. You're also eligible to get a copy of my first book, What Susie Orman Isn't Telling You, in a bundle for an additional $3. Listen, guys, this book is still available today on Amazon for $21.95. So that is a savings of over 85%. So listen, take advantage of these offers and go ahead, click the link below and place your pre-order today.